What's so good about Good Friday? Why remember this day, a day of betrayal, a forced trial with a corrupt judge, a humiliating execution? Why remember this day? Surely you would want to forget.
How deep the Father's love for us, how vast beyond all measure, that He should give His only Son to make a wretch His treasure. How great the pain of searing loss, the Father turns His face away, as wounds which mar the chosen one bring many sons to glory. Behold the man upon a cross, my sin upon His shoulders. Ashamed I hear my mocking voice call out among the scoffers. It was my sin that held Him there until it was accomplished. His dying breath has brought me life. I know that it is finished. I will not boast in anything, no gifts, no power, no wisdom, but I will boast in Jesus Christ, His death and resurrection. Why should I gain from His reward? I cannot give an answer, but this I know with all my heart: His wounds have paid my ransom. Why should I gain from His reward? I cannot give an answer, but this I know with all my heart: His wounds have paid my ransom.
It started in a garden. Well, the truth is, it actually started in a different garden many, many years before. But here we are now with Jesus in this garden on a dark night. And Jesus is here with His disciples. Well, most of them. One of them's missing. Look over here. Can you see him? What is Jesus doing? He's praying. He is praying like He has never prayed before. He is praying so hard that he's actually sweating blood. The anguish in his face, the tension in his body. Can you hear what he's saying? Father, is there any other way? Oh, the pain in this prayer. Yet nothing compared to the pain that is to come. Yet not my will, he says. Not my will, but yours. Even in this place, he surrenders himself wholeheartedly to his Father and what must be done. But why? He looks up. Some friends he has. Not praying, not keeping watch. They're snoring. But it's too late now. Look over here. There is a crowd approaching. Here in the middle of the night, a crowd of men brandishing torches and weapons. The temple guards, the officials, even some of the priests. Coming here in the night, but it is so dark. How do they know where to go? It is so dark. How are they going to know who to arrest? But there's someone out in front. Someone who knows the way. Someone who knows who they're looking for. The disciple that's missing. But Jesus is not perturbed. He knew all along. This is why he came. This is the journey he must take. Here, in the middle of the night, in a garden with his friends, he is betrayed with a kiss. The men from the temple, they drag Jesus back to Jerusalem, into the house of the high priest. They beat him. They mock him. These men, who would have learned in the synagogue school from their very young age these words, let justice roll down like waters and righteousness like an ever-flowing stream. They let their fists rain down instead. As the sun rises, he is dragged before a kangaroo court. The very priests who worship God and teach the law, his law, who should be worshipping him, instead accuse him and abuse him. Liars are brought in to accuse the very sinless one. Blasphemy, they cry, when he only confirms the truth of who he is. They drag him bound to the governor of the hated occupying army. Kill him, they cry. Kill him. He is no king of ours. The crowds are starting to gather. They're being egged on by the priests. The same crowds who had screamed for Jesus only the week before, shouting for him to be their king. They now scream for his blood instead. There is no evidence against him. He has committed no crime. But Pilate is trapped. What can he do? Let justice roll down like waters, and righteousness like an ever-flowing stream. Pilate just washes his hands and he walks away, giving Jesus over to his fate. The soldiers drag him and they pull him and they push him into the courtyard. They beat him again and they mock him. "Hail, King!" they scream. They make a crown of thorns and they weave it together and they ram it onto his head. They're meant to mock him with a crown made of the most worthless and the painful thing that they could find. But they did not know what they were doing. They crowned the King of Kings, the King of Heaven, with the very symbol of the curse placed upon earth from the first garden. And now as Jesus is led out, he carries the curse placed upon the earth and upon us on him. They drag a huge beam and they place it on his shoulders and they force him to walk, but it is too heavy. Is it the wood that's too heavy, or the load that he is carrying? So they grab this stranger, they pull him out of the crowd and they place the beam upon him. And Simon picks it up and he follows the king as they drag and beat and kick him through the streets. The people are stunned. The women are weeping. The children are in shock. They try to hide their faces as he passes. This is Jesus, the King, Messiah, beaten, bleeding, dragged through the streets to his death. Where is hope now?
When I survey the wondrous cross on which the
This great cross piece that Simon has been carrying is suddenly now put down on the ground, and it's dragged over the top of the big upright beam that's lying on the floor, and it's hammered into place. They push Jesus to the ground and they drag him over this crude wood. Not some nice, smooth, varnished thing that we put up in church that looks so nice. This is rough, brutal timber, simply cut with an axe and split to make logs. He's not even given the dignity of new wood. He's just one more person to be put to death on this foul timber. He is tied down with ropes around his arms so he cannot fall. They're nails, huge, rusty, used nails. They smash them through his legs. They smash them through his wrists. Ropes around the top of the cross as he's lying there, and they pull the cross upright when suddenly it jolts with a bang into the hole. The agony that would have been in his arms and in his legs from where the nails are driven through as this cross just crashes into the hole. What does he say? How could he say it? Those words have echoed down to us, and they shout to all creation the very heart of what is happening here. Father, forgive. Just look at the cross and imagine Jesus here. What's holding him there? Yes, the nails, but there's something more. It is you, and it is me. It's his love for us that is holding him on the cross. It's our sin and our shame. It's his mercy and his grace that keep him on that cross. The skies turn black, but it's only midday. Yet the sky has turned black. Darkness, like the middle of the very night. No, actually it's darker, because there are no dots of light, there are no stars in her majesty, no moon glimmering over the earth. The heavens are shrouded in a thick, embracing, claustrophobic blackness. The light of the world is being put out. The one through whom creation came into being is being crushed. The light for those walking in darkness is being extinguished. Death is winning. The powers of darkness are overcoming. Or are they? Can you hear it? Can you hear that sound coming from the temple? In the midst of the darkness, there is that sound of unmistakable cloth, of some thick, embroidered, woven cloth being torn in two. In the midst of the darkness, the presence of God is breaking out of seclusion. The barrier between God and man being ripped apart. The very holy of holies, where God is meant to live away from man, is now on view. The shock of the faces of the priests and the temple staff. First, the darkness, not just for a few moments, but for 3 hours of unnatural night in the middle of the day. Then suddenly this. The sanctuary is pulled open. There is no barrier between God and us anymore. Come back to the cross. As we look down in the gloom, we can see the post sitting in the ground with the pegs driven in around to keep it up. As we look up, what do we see? We see the stain of blood soaking into the wood, coming from his feet. As we look up further, what do we see? Who do we see? Stay here for a moment and look and listen. Suddenly he speaks. It is finished. This part of the journey has certainly come to an end. And then Jesus just cries those words, Father, into your hands I commit my spirit. Look back at the crowds. They stand in shocked silence. And suddenly, to everyone's surprise, moved beyond understanding, is this hardened, brutal officer from an occupying army, a professional killer, moved. What does he say? Surely this was the Son of God. The story has not finished, but our Friday journey has come to an end. But before we move on from this place, let us wait a while longer, like those women standing at the edge. In this place of pain, let us not rush off, though so often we yearn to move on from such a place. Let us pause for a moment and look a while longer at the cross. What's so special about Good Friday? On this day, justice rolled down like waters and righteousness like an ever-flowing stream. This place of pain and death became the place of freedom and hope. This place of suffering and betrayal becomes the source of life and forgiveness. This place of execution saw the Son of God die so that I might live. What's so good about Good Friday? Look at the cross and see his grace and his mercy. Look at the cross and see the love of God flowing down. Look at the cross and see the justice and the forgiveness of God coming and destroying the curse of sin and death itself, that we might live and live life in all its fullness. What's so good about Good Friday? Just look at the cross.
Here is love, vast as the ocean, loving kindness as the flood. When the Prince of Life, our ransom, shed for us his precious blood. Who is love will not remember, who can cease to sing his praise. He can never be forgotten throughout heaven's eternal days. On the mount of crucifixion, fountains open deep and wide. Through the floodgates of God's mercy flowed a vast and gracious tide. Grace and